Should consultants be doing social media marketing? Well, today on the show, we're going to discuss that question, and we're going to discuss the value and potentially lack of value in social media activities and how they can make the most for you in your consulting business. My name's Russell Pearson. For the last 30 years, I've been helping consultants just like you build and grow their consulting practices. And today I want to discuss how social media can play an absolute role in that. Now, social media has been a large part of my business, but that doesn't mean it needs to be a large part of yours. Now, to get the ball rolling, let's look at what is social media. Well, social media is media that is social, which means that it's a space where we can share content that is created or published, and we can interact with our audience, which is the social component of it. But the question is whether it's valuable for you in your business, because a lot of people consider social media to be free. But the reality is it's not free. It is time-based, and time is one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable assets that you have in your consulting practice. So I want to make sure that if you're going to spend the time to do social media marketing, that you're actually going to get massive value out of that step. So let's look at the cost of social media marketing. Number one, there is advertising costs if you want to actually save time. You can actually get leverage by advertising through social media rather than doing free or organic content. If you're going to create content, well, there's a time to create it, but not only that, there's the time to engage with your audience so you're getting the most out of your social media activities. Now, I'm also going to show you the 3 key things that you need to be doing if you're going to use social media marketing, but it's something that has been around for last 25 years. And so in that time, yes, we've become reliant on things like social media, but before that, there was a lot of time, if not centuries, that consultants were still doing their advisory work, which meant that there is a lot of time when we never had social media, we were just social, right? And so we still need to get social to develop consulting clients because, as I've said many times before, the fastest way to get a sale as a consultant is to have a conversation. And that's one of the things that social media really enables you to do. But how do you make the best use of your time? I can tell you it's not by actually dancing on social media TikTok and trying to engage people that way. In fact, the point of view I want to deliver today is it's not about you becoming viral as a consultant in your space. It's about you being able to have conversations. And so that brings us back to that point of sale, that conversation that you need to have to enable you to diagnose with the client what is the next step with you and them. So conversations are very important. I think what's really cool about social media, it is the equivalent of a 24-hour, 7 days a week networking function, which means that if you had traditionally, before social media and before the internet came along, been doing a lot of networking, whether through events or through masterminds or things that you put together yourself, you can still do those things on social media, but now we don't have an end time. We don't have an hour of networking and then we have to go home. Now, what's cool about the difference there is that back when we were just doing the networking, we might go to an event, we might listen to a speaker, we might speak to the people on the table with us. In that time, we might actually have maybe 2 or 3 legitimate conversations with people who, if we're lucky, are prospects, but if we're not lucky, have got nothing to do with our area of expertise. And so if we take the concept online where there is no end time, we can actually continue to do social engagement and social networking 24 hours a day. Then the question is, how can we do that in an efficient way so that we're not just spending time speaking to everybody? Now, I've talked a lot about defining where your client is, and I want to really start there because where you should be doing social media marketing is a massive key if you decide to do it. A lot of consultants will suggest that you should be doing social media marketing on LinkedIn because that's the professional social media. But the reality is, on something like LinkedIn, you'll find that the average user is there once every 2 weeks, which means that if you're trying to get a conversation happening on LinkedIn, it becomes very slow and often stalls. Whereas something like on Facebook, which is people are visiting it on average every 2 days, that speeds up the opportunity for you to have conversations. But you might be saying to yourself, well, I only want to talk to them in a professional setting because I want to be talking about my profession in that environment. But see, this is where the game has changed, or maybe the game has gone back to how it always was, which is we're not trying to be professional and put a professional mask on and pretend that we are something we're not. Ideally, we want to be as authentically ourselves as we possibly can be, and therefore it's much easier to actually be the best version of ourselves. So we get to engage with people as we are. Now, on Facebook, people tend to be a little bit more natural, where on LinkedIn, they try to be a little bit more professional. But right now, in this day and age, people want to actually work with people they know, like, and trust. Now, that's not that's not a new statement. Know, like, and trust has been around for a long time. And I want you to take that step and say, no, the equivalent of awareness. Do they have awareness of us? Like, have they got a consideration of, do they like us and do they want to work with us? Or trust us, do they trust us to take them to the next step? These are the three different stages of actually engaging someone as a client, but it's also the same engagement that you would have as a friend. And so your ability to actually look at social media through the lens of how do I not just engage clients, but engage clients for a lifetime of business, well, we're engaging friends. And someone said to me recently, and I think this is a bit of an old saying, but I really liked it. Someone will become your client and then become your friend before a friend becomes your client. And I really like that, and it is very true. A lot of the time, the advice that you might get, especially when you're starting your consultancy, is go and speak to your friends and see if there's work available around you. Now, you could do that, and it's not going to hurt. But one step better is to actually go and speak to your friends about people that they know, because it is far more likely that you're actually going to engage someone in a piece of work and then they're going to become friends through the process. And so there's like two sides to this coin. Are we like going and just making friends on social media? And that's what a lot of people use Facebook for. Or are we just being professional? I think that the ability to bring those two worlds together is the key. So we're a little bit more professional on something like a Facebook. We're a little bit more friendly, relaxed, and natural on something like a LinkedIn. And by bringing those two worlds together, I think that we get the best of it. Now, that doesn't mean that your clients are not on something like TikTok. And if you have an international audience, I think that's a really good opportunity for people who want to engage people globally, is you can look at something like TikTok, especially if your audience is a B2C, so business to consumer style audience. So there's TikTok. There's also Instagram. Instagram traditionally, again, has been media sharing, and we have people engaging in it. We're not trying to actually go viral. We're trying to start conversations. And so you can absolutely start those conversations on Instagram. But again, traditionally, it is easier to start those conversations through something like a LinkedIn or a Facebook. Now, the key on all of this, if we want to actually have a conversation, it's to start the conversation there, but we want to take them off the platform. As I keep telling all my clients inside the Forge, we want to move the body. We want to move people off the platform so we can actually have real conversations with them, either on the phone or, through some sort of video sharing modality. All right. So this is what we're trying to do. And really then the focus becomes, where are we going to spend our time when it comes to social media? Well, a lot of people are out there sharing their expertise, and they're sharing it as content publishing. And I think that's fantastic. But they haven't connected with enough of the right people that the sharing and the publishing that they're going to put out there is going to be noticed, is going to be found. So really the first step is to start connecting with people who are specifically in your world, or your suspects. The people you suspect could use your services at some point. So we want to connect. That is absolutely key. That is the know part of know, like, and trust. That's the awareness part of awareness, consideration, and decision making. Can we get to know these people, and can they get to know us? That's not just about friendships. That's actually about connecting in the first place. It's the equivalent of a handshake at a networking function. We just bring that into the social space. So if you're not connecting on social media, there is no point in doing publishing through the social media platform, because you're going to be screaming into the abyss. No one's going to hear a word that you're saying because you're not connected to anybody, so they're not going to hear you. Now, again, if we go back to the reason that a lot of social media was created, the idea was that you would create something and the people that you were engaged with might share it, or their friends might share it. So it's circles of influence connected. Now, that is still true, but because of the way or the amount of social media content that's been created, a lot of that content is being throttled. In fact, the majority of that content is being throttled, which means only a small percentage, and we can't say exactly how much that is, but let's say it's like 2%, maybe it's 20%, depending on the size of your audience, of that audience is actually seeing your content. But ideally, the majority of them will need to be connected with you in some way before that can happen. But definitely, you need to be connected to these people so you can actually have a conversation. And that's what the messaging function is all about when it comes to social media. So we connect with people so we can have the conversation. So we need to be connected to all these people. Now, there are 3 different things that we might want to do once we are connected. Well, number 1, we want to position ourselves. Using social media, if we've got enough people seeing us that are the right types of people, the suspects, put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. So if we're trying to engage a certain type of people, we can start creating content that they may see so that they can continue to engage with us. So we are positioned around our topic of expertise, or ideally the problems that we are solving for people. So you may want to publish articles, videos, you might want to put up some sort of commentary, however that's actually put together. It could be things like podcasts, it could be even things like the YouTube channel, right? So there are all sorts of ways that you can deliver that publishing, and traditionally there are, and I say traditionally in a weird sort of way because this has been only around for sort of 20-25 years, so traditional in that sense, we've got 3 different ways of doing it. We've got writing, so writing is one of those ways. We've got speaking, so audio is one of those ways, and we've got showing, which is kind of like video and imagery. And so they are the 3 different buckets that things fall into. My suggestion to you, if you haven't really got into a rhythm of publishing, then look at what is your preference? What is the thing that you're most likely to do? And I would start there, because it's going to enable you to more naturally publish things. That being said, it is an amazing exercise if you don't consider yourself as a writer in the consulting space or a space of expertise, for you to start writing on a regular basis, because not only does it enable you to position yourself for the thing that you're a specialist in, but enables you to continue to develop your own ideas. So it's almost a professional development process in the writing of doing these things. And that's a really nice side benefit that I love about social media is in the publishing of content and the creation of positioning-based content. We review our ideas, we review the market, we actually look at the context of what's happening out there in the environment, and we make our work more relevant, and which means that we are continuing to develop our own professional expertise. So as a sideline benefit, I think that's one of the best reasons to actually get involved. But the real reason we're trying to get involved is not to just be seen as an influencer, it's to engage an abundance of opportunities that are right for us, which means specifically contacting or connecting with those people that we suspect are ideal for us, then positioning ourselves around our topic. So going back to what I said before about know, like, trust. So we connect with these people, they know who we are. We're positioned, they know what we're about. So that's the know side of things. Now we move to like. And don't forget, it's a two-way street, especially when we're coming in as the mentor rather than just the service provider. We want to know who these people are too. We want to understand, do we like them? Because we want to build a business that is enjoyable for ourselves. So ideally, we work with people that we find enjoyable, or even the process being enjoyable. Sometimes you work with someone who's a challenge, but it makes the business more interesting. But like is all about that. Do you like them? And then trust. Yeah, yes, they will need to trust you as your mentor or as the mentor to them, but you want to trust that they're not going to waste your time, that they're going to do the things that they say they're going to do and they keep their word. So know, like, trust is a two-way street. But no, we're connected to them, we understand who they are, we're positioning ourselves for our expertise so they know what we're about. The next is the consideration stage, which is like. And consideration is about how can we give them an experience where they get to see what it's like working with us. And I think video in particular is a really good way of doing that. Channels like the one that you're actually watching now, whether it be the audio or the video version, you get to experience what it's like a little bit having a conversation with me. Now, you won't know exactly what that's like until you join the Forge Business Program or the Guild, but when you do that, you'll go, oh, okay, I can actually see that the things that he was putting out there were very much who he is, because that's how I present. I'm very natural. I do what I'm doing, and warts, warts and all, it's there for you to see. Now, Alfred's doing a great job at editing some of the craziness out of there, but there's still a lot of what makes me me on the screen, but it enables you to have an experience of what it's like to engage with me. I am passionate about my topic. I am passionate about your business, often to a fault, so that I don't want to care about your business more than you care about your business. So if you are really passionate about your business, then come and speak to me, because I would love to smash those passions together so that we can really drive some massive results. But that experience piece, how can you do that? Now, events are another great way of having someone experience you, and inviting people via social media is a good step. In fact, here is another three. I'm going to give you a lot of stuff today. Here are 3 really easy steps that you can do to engage someone in a social space, and then again, move them off the channel, so to speak. So we connect. Connecting with them. It's like the handshake, whether it's a connection on LinkedIn or whether it's a friending on Facebook or whatever it might be. We qualify them. We understand, is this a person that ideally could work with us at some point in time? Ideally, when I'm looking at qualifying, I'm trying to disqualify them. I'm trying to say, why wouldn't this person work with us? And there should be all sorts of really clear qualifications. So an example might be, I'll just take an example from my world. I work with consultants. So if people are not doing advisory, mentoring, coaching of some sense where they're actually helping people go from here to there. So in other words, if they're e-commerce or product sales, retail, warehousing, all those sort of things, unless you're in the advisory space, you're not really my client, right? So happy to meet you, great. But I've got to qualify that I should be moving you to actually become a part of my world. And so we connect, we qualify, usually through a simple question, ask a little about what's going on in their world. And it should be a pointed question. So for instance, in mine, how long you've been consulting? Oh, I don't do consulting, I do something else. Okay, well, it's been nice knowing you. But if you consulted, oh, great, well, I might have something for you. And it's all about creating that next step value for people. And one of the great ways you can do that is invite them to something. Now, that invitation could be to a resource. It could be to an event. I really like the event side of things because, again, it allows people to experience you. But even a resource will allow them to experience the way you think, the way you write, whatever it might be. And so, we've got a whole sorts of training and sessions on lead magnets and creating resources for client attraction and client acquisition. If you're interested in looking at that, just go to russellpearsonprograms.com and you'll get more information there. So, enabling people to invite them to a step outside of there. Now, what I mean by inviting them to a step outside the social media is you might be talking to someone through a message and you've qualified that they are the right type of person. You say, well, I've got this resource if you'd like to have a look at it, and name the resource, let them know what the value of the resource is. And what I mean by that is what does it do for them? It shouldn't be a long spiel, just a little expression of interest. They say, yeah, they're interested in it. And you ask them, what's the best email address to send it to? Now, in doing that, you now have their email address and can go outside of the social media channel and start a conversation over there. Now, on the other side, you might actually say, well, I've got this event to come to. Would you like an invitation? They say yes, and you give them the link. When they actually go to the page to book, they're putting in their name, their email, maybe their phone number, and a bunch of other things to enable you to, again, start a conversation with them. And so all these things can happen on social media. But, again, they're not free. Your time is very valuable. And so don't feel like on social media you can waste time. And that's why we're creating these systems. So we go connect, qualify, invite. It can happen in moments. We don't have to take 3 months for this to happen. And so that's what I like about the digital space. It enables a lot of the things that we used to do before social media was around to still be done, but now on a 24-hour basis and a lot faster. But we want to move people into that conversation if it makes sense. And the whole conversation, and we've got training on this as well, is how to discover if now is the right time to be making any sort of offer. Because a lot of the time, people will try and offer what they've got to everybody without really prioritizing, are they ready to say yes? Because there are all sorts of reasons why they can't, and a lot of them are situational, not because of objection handling. Okay, so again, back to the know, like, and trust. So they've now had an experience of us. They've been able to consider if this person is the sort of person I'd like to work with. And so we experience them, then they might raise their hand to say, hey, can you help me with something? All right, so that can happen. But we might actually be proactive and offer something to them. And again, like that invitation to say, I've got a thing, would you like a thing? And so, for instance, at the moment, we've just got this bundle of training that we've put together from these 3 workshops. And it enables people to do a really like a straightforward client engagement process that they can put straight into their business. Now, that might not be available, whatever time you actually see this offer, because it ends at the end of June 2024. But my point is that would be an example of something you say, we've got this thing, it does this thing, a lot of things. Would you like it? Or would you like to purchase it? Or would you like to sign up for it? Or whatever it might be. They're raising their hand shows you that they're interested in the topic of the offer. And so it enables you to start a discussion around that area. Then finally, what we're trying to do is actually start those conversations. So the person raising their hand to say either they're interested in the offer or they would like some help starts the conversation. And that's when we move into sales mode. And that sales mode, as we know as consultants, is not selling, it's having a conversation. And that conversation, just like with a doctor, someone comes in, what's going on? Where does it hurt? All right, let's look at that. I assume you don't want that pain anymore. Let's see at how we can actually remove it. We do some form of diagnostic. We've got our specific diagnostic we do in the Forge, but you might have yours. And so having that diagnostic allows us to identify where are the spaces that they want the most help. And so in that, we can start tailoring a solution that would be right for them. And then based off a collaboration in that design, in other words, we're not telling them, we're working with them to design the best solution, they'll say yes because they've been part of the design. If they're saying no, then it's usually that we've told them what they should do rather than collaborate around that solution. So ideally, there are 3 steps. We're connecting to position with the prospects. From there, we're enabling them to have an experience with us, so it's much easier for us to have a conversation. We're now positioning ourselves as someone who knows what they're talking about in the space, which could be a mentor in their situation. From there, we're looking at chances to start a conversation with people, and through that conversational process, we make a sale. So if you're wanting to do that, it is very much more about the connection side of things than anything else. Can we connect to enough of the right people? Can we enable that experience by publishing content that they get to experience us through? And do we do it in a way that enables us to start a conversation so that they raise their hand, so that we can have those conversations naturally with them? And so there's a bit of a process. So if you'd like to do that on social media, then social media will be very valuable for you. But if you are doing social media just to put like quotes out there or memes out there or trying to go viral, number one, I've seen people go viral, like massively viral, like million plus engagements on the piece of content they put out. There are 2 things that go really wrong with that. Number one is just because they got a lot of views, it usually means that they got a lot of views because it was a broader interest topic, which means as a consultant, we can't close on a broader interest topic. We want to actually be specific to a specific problem because it's going to engage more hand raising. So you get a very small percentage of those people on a viral engagement that actually are interested. Now, on a proactive basis, let's say 1 million engagements, we now want to reach out to start a conversation with those people. Almost every social media platform will prevent that from happening. We can't contact 1 million people in any reasonable, considerable length of time to actually start that conversation. So some of the platforms only allow 20 to 40 conversations a day. And so how can you probably bring the hand raising engagements down a little bit? And that could be on a daily basis. That's still great. If you could get 20 to 40 engagements on a daily basis, that's so many conversations you get to start. And I'm not saying you even need to do it at that level because most consultants are usually working with high value clients rather than just trying to get lots and lots of little ones. And so if you had 5 of these conversations a week, you'd be doing very, very well. But it depends very much on your business, your clientele, and at the end of the day, the professional lifestyle that you're designing and creating for yourself. This has been episode number 89. If you'd like to talk to me more about either social media marketing or how do you bring a system into your consulting business so you can actually engage more of the right types of clients, spend less time doing things that everyone else says you should be doing, but are just time-consuming sort of additions to what it is to running a consulting business, more than happy to show you our system, show you our process, and see if it's right for you. Until next time, make sure to go to russellpearsonprograms.com. You can get free resources there. Stay passionate. You want to do that. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.